Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Well, how old are you?
I'm 32.
All right. Any single or married?
I'm single.
Any kids?
Nope.
What you got?
I don't want to be nobody's side chick because I want to be married. I'm
Okay.
out on my own. I've been holding it down for my on my own, but it's kind of hard, Kevin, because like really when women say they want to look for the right person, they got their own definition about that, but it's hard. It's hard because men, it's hard. I try and try. I'm 32 with no kids. I live on my own. It's not
What's
easy.
hard? What's hard about it?
Actions, like, it's
No, I
just
don't. No, I don't. I really don't understand what you're talking about. Because what's the only common denominator in all of our relationships?
I don't know. I don't. I don't know.
You,
It's the
you know
patience
what
for
a
me. I
common
don't
you
know.
know what a common denominator is?
Yeah, it's the bottom line. Yes, I know.
No, that's not what a common denominator is. The only common denominator in all of our relationships is us.
Correct. But men these days, it's difficult because they want they cake and eat it too.
I talked to all your exes and asked them how did they experience you. What do you think they'd say?
They're gonna give good stuff out. They're gonna say I have a little attitude and my mouth is slick, but that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah. They gonna say good stuff. I mean, as far as the bad stuff, but they gonna say I'm independent. I
Who
don't
gives a
have
shit about? No disrespect, man. Who gives a shit that you're a functioning adult? Okay,
okay.
nobody cares that you've been holding it down. That means you're taking care of yourself. But you
Okay.
say they're gonna say you got an attitude and a slick mouth, and that's it. So that you got an attitude and a slick mouth. Why do you think? Why do you? What makes women like you think that that's acceptable?
I speak my mind. If nothing don't feel right, then I'm gonna
That's why
say
you're
it.
alone. That's why you're alone. That's why you're alone.
It's hard. I don't want to be
No, no, no.
alone, but
No. It's not hard. It's not hard. Acting right shouldn't be this hard.
got you. I feel like I could.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a bus operator. I work for the city, drive buses.
Uh-huh. So you just do what the fuck you want to in the bus. You just speed. You do whatever you want. Don't obey the traffic laws.
I do,
You okay? So you can act like right when the white man's money's on the line.
unfortunately.
See how that works,
No.
gentlemen? See how that work when her holding it down is jeopardized, that white paycheck is on the line, then all of a sudden these sassy, slick mouth women, they can show act right.
It's not easy. I live in LA and it's not I don't
Listen to
even
all
have
these
no
excuses. Listen to all these
I
excuses.
don't have no kids. So if I
So
was
what?
like
So
didn't
what?
give a fuck
So
and I
what?
settled,
So what?
excuse my language, but if
So
I
what? You don't have any kids. You don't have any kids. Due respect, man, you don't have any kids. What do you mean settle? You're a bus driver.
you gonna make me press that.
I just want you guys to think for a second that the world we live in, to where a attitude, sassy mouth bus driver thinks she's settling for somebody. That's how far. Y'all don't understand how bad you guys have gotten because you're on here talking about how hard it is. You exactly where you sound like you need to be by yourself.
On some occasions, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well, you like dogs or cats?
Really.
Mm-hmm.
What you mean by that? I like
Which,
a human being. Like
mm-hmm. But you're going. If you had to pick between dog or cat, what would you pick?
it'd definitely be a cat.
Okay, well, good with that because see, a cat don't care about what comes out of your mouth because they don't speak human.
But it's not that's not what it's gonna be though. One day, that's not
Right,
what
all
it's gonna
right. And one day, because human beings as they get older only become less like they are or more like they are.
I tried to follow your your advice, but
You
it's
have.
I
So
watch you all the time, but I'm telling I don't know.
why is it so hard for you to behave?
Because I'm going to express myself. Like if I feel like somebody trying to take control of, not even control, like take advantage of me. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm big hearted. So if I feel like somebody
I
gonna
get
take,
so sick of black people with this zodiac shit. I'm a Capricorn. It's hard. All right. So what? Capricorn, it's hard. Well, then what are your alternatives? Buy a dog or a cat and die alone.
we
I mean, it's hard, right? So, hey, you're in LA. You and the cat can eat the same food. We're talking about just simple common decency and respect. And I said, how would your exes tell me they experienced you? And you said it. They would probably tell you I have a bit of an attitude, which is a whole lot, and a slick mouth. Well, see, that's the problem. You ladies are able to talk crazy to men with no consequences. So now what men are doing is just avoiding you. You can't even give it away.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Talk Podcast. I am once again reacting to a conversation with Kevin Samuels and a lady talking about relationships. So, this is a woman in her 30s, in her early 30s, and she has no children, which I personally think is good that you shouldn't have children out of wedlock. You shouldn't just have children because you think you're lonely. Children need both parents, so that's fine. But obviously, all through her life, she has not found the man that she thinks is worthy of committing to and raising a family. Maybe that's the case. But listening into the conversation, she said that if you would ask her ex-boyfriends, well, he brought up the question saying, if you would ask the ex-boyfriends what do they think about her being in a relationship, they would say things like she has an attitude and she has a slick mouth, and she's trying to brush that off as if it was nothing of importance. And this is something that I see a lot with women from across the board, whatever race, that this idea of being sassy is more important than actually doing the right thing or acting right so that the relationship is going to grow in the right direction. So the issue is, of course, you don't want anybody taking advantage of you. Of course, you want to be able to share your opinion and say what you think and share how you feel, which is perfectly fine. That's how it should be in a relationship. But what a lot of women try to brush off is having an attitude is actually equal to being rude, bossy, and loud and aggressive and masculine. And that's not something that's appreciated in a relationship. If you are not able to communicate to your boyfriend or your husband in a respectful way of whatever's going on with you or whatever way you're feeling, actually the issues are not going to get solved. It's just going to be a whole big misunderstanding. And being a person that has a slick mouth is not something that we should be celebrating. It's actually pretty rude. So the common denominator that he asked her in relationships, it's always us, right? The different people you're in conversations with, that you're dating, that you're in relationships with, are always variables. They're always different people, but you are you. You are the person who's either choosing the wrong people constantly, or you are the person who's not doing the work that is needed for the relationship to grow. Whatever the case is, you cannot change or always point the finger at other people. At some point, you might have to ask yourself, what is it about me that is either making me choose the wrong people, or what is it about me that I'm doing wrong that I could actually work on to make the relationship grow? Because everyone else is just a visitor in that situation, but you are always you. And reality is you cannot run away from who you are. You can acknowledge the issues and tackle them and really work on them, but brushing them off as, oh, I'm just sassy and I have a loud mouth and, I just want to speak my mind, that's not going to help you move on in the right way in life and in relationships especially. Then the other thing that I also hear a lot is this idea of people, women especially, having an issue to settle, right? I think over the years now we hear this a lot. Settle and settle down have become completely different things. So people tend to put themselves on a pedestal in terms of rate themselves higher, like when it comes to look, they rate themselves higher as they actually are. When it comes to, let's say, the career path that they have chosen, they value themselves higher than actually the market would value them, and they start thinking of themselves highly, which is not a bad thing. Yes, you should think of yourself as great, and but there's always work to be done. And if you put yourself on a pedestal and you start looking down on the people that are actually at your reach, the people who you're actually able to attract and engage with, then suddenly you might find yourself in the situation of never really getting to that point of being satisfied or being, I've reached the place that I want to be, finding comfort and really enjoying life with someone. And yes, she is a bus driver. This is not to downgrade the job that she chosen. Everyone has their choices to do what they want in life in terms of making money. Some things are celebrated more, some things are just looked as average. But to be honestly speaking, you are a bus driver living in a multicultural city, in a city where life is very expensive, and you're putting yourself on this pedestal saying you don't want to settle. And I'm sure she has encountered great men who are trying to be in a relationship with her, but those relationships never grown into possibly a marriage and creating family due to her view on herself, this attitude that she's not willing to cut down or change. And to be honest, also for women who are highly career driven and who have degrees in a bunch of different areas, who are really, making more than 6 figures annually, they also come with this idea of, I don't want to settle. And look, that is fine. If you don't want to settle, good for you. But at the end of the day, people should understand that you are not the person who's determining what you get. The market sets the rule. It's the same thing within business, right? You might create a brand of, let's say, fashion items, you're selling bags, and you put in the work with marketing, you have great quality, and then you set your prices at, I don't know, 5 to 700 euros or dollars, whatever the case may be, for that bag. And now the question is, you might think highly of your brand, you might think the quality is worth the price, but at the end of the day, the market, meaning the people who are coming in willing to pay those prices, are the one determining the value at the end of the day. If no one is coming in to say, oh yeah, I think this bag is actually worth that money, I'm willing to purchase it, that bag is, sorry, it's just going to stay in the shop, but not or never is going to get purchased. So at the end of the day, sometimes we tend to put ourselves on pedestals that we are not even getting that type of engagement. So moving away from this part where it's all about her job, because I don't know, that can get a bit confusing. But the other thing is that it wasn't talked too much in this episode, but I see this a lot and I hear this a lot, that when we talk about relationships in modern times nowadays, women have this issue in their mind with being respectful to a man, being agreeable, being submissive, being obedient is one of the hardest thing that they don't want to swallow that word. It's giving them an ick, right? But being submissive, let me just talk on that real quick, is not a bad thing. Being submissive to a lot of women nowadays sounds like, oh my God, I need to bow down to everything he says. I have no rights. I cannot make my own decisions. I need to agree to everything he says. No, that is not right. Actually, you shouldn't even get with somebody that you don't respect or that you don't think highly of. If you're in a relationship with somebody that you cannot even trust his leadership, or he is showing you that he's not even capable of leading in his own life, then you shouldn't be in that situation. And you're like, every man you talk to, our dads or uncles or brothers, friends, and other male figures would actually tell women this: don't submit to a man, a random guy that is not proven to you that he's worth your submission, or he's bringing the leadership that is required in a relationship, right? Being submissive means that you understand the vision, you trust in his leadership, you both know where this is going in the relationship, and that's why it's easy for you to follow along, right? Being submissive doesn't mean you don't have any say in the relationship, you're just a dummy following along. That is completely wrong. And to me, it's funny because a lot of the times in life, we as women and as people in general, we are submissive to our jobs. We are submissive to the terms and the conditions at work. We are submissive to some people find themselves in jobs where the bosses are talking to you loud and shouting. They don't even like you, but somehow you make that work. Somehow you obey the rules, because for some people it's just enough to tell themselves, oh yeah, I'm getting a paycheck and that's fine. But this is so weird. Why is that easier for you to do instead of being instead of complying to a relationship, a man who loves you, who's caring, who brings great leadership, and who provides and takes care of you? But we always have this bossy attitude. I am strong and independent. I can do it on my own. I am like, why is that? People have an issue to be on the right path when it has to do with their relationships, but everyone is easy and quick to obey the laws. We all obey the laws. We all obey all the structures of society, but in your own personal life, in your love life, there's suddenly such a hard thing to do. It really doesn't make sense to me. And what I also want to talk about is this ideas that has been fed to us women, this I am independent. Wow, good for you. You're an adult who is working, yeah, because you're not teaming up with anyone. You obviously have to work because this is the life we live in now for more than 50 years now as women. We chose this, and now good for you. You have to work. You're a functional, able adult. You have to take care of yourselves. You have to buy food, you have to pay rent. If you have a car, you need to put gas in the car, you need to pay the insurance. These are basic adult things to do. This is not something that is making you better than someone else. Actually, I don't understand why we always like to bring up this, I'm a strong and independent woman. Wow, what is it that makes you so independent? Because you're paying your rent as everyone else is doing? Because you're going to job day by day as everyone else is doing? Because you're responsible for your bills and expenses expensive in life? That doesn't make sense. And this attitude, this mindset is holding a lot of women back, because they have tapped so much into being competitive with men, into going into the same masculine energy, that they have actually internalized this fear of being feminine, of leaning back on someone, of letting go, right? They always have this idea of, oh, I need to push harder than him, I need to do more, I need to prove, I need to do this. No, that is not your role. To be honest, the masculine role in general is a role that is basically meant for survival. That's why you can see it, that women can tap into the masculine role and find themselves just, struggling and trying to make everything work. But the feminine energy, the feminine quality that is given to us women is actually not built the same way. And overall, I think this woman is finding herself in the typical biological clock issue that comes sooner or later. And she's in her mid 30s and she doesn't have a man, she doesn't have family, she has no kids, she's basically on her own, going back and forth to work, her bus driving, and that's all she has to show for. And now suddenly time has passed. Being this strong and independent, bossy, loud, bad attitude, sassy personality hasn't gotten her anywhere. It hasn't helped you in terms of, striving when it comes to relationship. And now you find yourself, you have wasted so much time. And honestly, over time, people actually just harden more in their attitudes and their ways, right? If you don't tackle your bad habits early on, more likely you're just going to grow more harder in the way you think, in the way you view the world. And it's unfortunate, but reality is this is what so many women are going through or are going to go through, because modern times has confused us a lot from what is actually meaningful in life. And for women especially, we waste so much time doing everything else, and then suddenly close to hitting the wall, she's already hit the wall, to be honest, you start having this epiphany phase and realizing, oh, maybe I should have done something differently. Maybe I should have worked on myself in terms of working on my attitudes. Maybe I shouldn't have put myself on the pedestal. Maybe sometimes it wouldn't be actually bad to say, okay, maybe I'm acting up a bit. Maybe let me just calm down for the greater good, right? Like this selfish attitude of, oh, this is how I am and people just need to accept me with my bossy bad attitude, my slick mouth. That is not how life works. And it's funny that women like this are able to follow the rules and bring up their best attitude when it comes to showing up at work, but when it comes to doing the same thing within your relationship for the greater good, for the bigger picture, it's hard for them. It's really hard. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.